In a world where hopium and common sense collide, starring the CryptoKeeper and BlockchainCrusader. Welcome to Debate Crypto.
Question everything, trust nothing. How's everybody doing tonight? Guys, it's CVO and Magic Internet Money tonight for TA Thursday. Let's round of applause. Smash the likes. Guys, how's it going, man? CVO, it's been a while, dude.
Dude, it's it has been a while. It feels like just yesterday, but I guess it's been like 3 weeks.
Yeah, man.
Took a journey across the ocean for a bit, and I left Bitcoin at 29.7 and came back at 29.7. So it was the only trip I've ever taken where Bitcoin didn't crash while I was out. So that was fun.
Magic Internet Money, first time on the show. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Happy to be here. I watch your guys' show, so it's about time.
Yeah, man. Love to have you on the show, man. Been trying to work it out for a while now, so glad that we got both of you guys from Leading Crypto here. Guys, if you're not following these guys on social media, if you're not following them on their trading group, if you want to get TA, make sure you look at the links below, join their group, follow them. They got the info. So let's just cut to it. All right, there's no zigzagging here, nothing. No market overwatch. We know where the market's at. Market's been the same place it's been for the past 3 weeks.
Oh no, you gotta do the market overwatch. Let's take a look. Let's see where he's at.
Let's take a look at the market. Let's see where everything's been. Give me a second here. Pull this thing up.
Binance is under attack. Litecoin's under attack.
Everything's under attack, dude. All right, so here it is. Let me refresh it for everybody. Boom, down 0.5% today for the total market cap. Bitcoin still just here at 30,000, doing its thing. Ethereum at 1,700. The stable coins trying to be stable. The BNB still not even up or down today, just didn't even move. Right, Cardano coming down a little bit today. Had a massive pump to 63 cents from like 50 something a while ago. XRP being more stable than USDT right now, staying at 39 cents forever. Solana up 2%. Everything else is just there, man. Just nothing's really moving. Nothing's going up. Nothing's going down. We're just stuck, worse than a crab, right? So what's going on, guys? You guys are the experts. You guys know what's going on. So just cut through it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I'll share my screen. We'll just knock it out. We'll go through this pretty quick. It's pretty much just a range. I think everyone knows that by now, but we'll go through it pretty quickly here. So obviously the move down from the highs has been pretty aggressive up until about right here. Really nice rejection. We can go over that stuff later. But locally, I mean, you just simply have a range. I know you're going to hear that from probably every influencer right now. But in reality, you can sum everything up to a range for Bitcoin, even where you were rejected. So when you're looking at this, if you go down like a 4 hour, you have to look at this kind of neutrally in the sense that you've rotated the range several times. You've come to the highs of the once, twice, 3 times here in the last, what is this? The last week and a half. You're finding rejection and you're finding yourself below the point of control here. So that is going to be something that you don't want to see. What you'll notice is we utilize the volume profile a lot. We do use other tools, exo charts, things like that. You're going to notice that you have a latch right here. Okay. So you notice how it's much thicker in this shape. You've got a nice B shape forming, a lowercase b, showing you that most of the volume was done here on the move down. You would find a very similar all the way back up here. Okay, you'll see the exact same thing, and then, well, we'd have to roll it back, but similar to this range. Okay, so you had a much larger B shape here before deviating the highs and eventually just running it down to the lows. Are we expecting the same thing? And not necessarily, but you have to understand that once you start flipping your point of control here in the middle of the range into resistance, you're just targeting the low of the range. It's really that simple. Where you were rejected from makes a lot of sense. Where we went to makes a lot of sense. Like this was a massive target. The day before we hit this, I think I gave it in the Discord live was 25,100 is what we were looking for. And I'll walk you through how we found that target going into that day and how you could have actually utilized the information to make an actual trade instead of just trying to catch a falling knife, which a lot of people really do. But if you were to look at this as an overall ranging and start compartmentalizing things in terms of price action, you can do it both in time, you can do it in market structure. So this is going to be probably the most important area on the chart to go back in for historical data. And when we do that, you can go back and you can see just a few things that were there. You had this low right here, which was your confirmation low before the rally. You can see how price was trying to go lower. You had divergences building here, both volume and standard RSI divergences. This is your confirmation low before takeoff, basically. Really important area to hang on to, 29,800. And then just beneath that, you have the overall low right here, which was my target. You can go back to May 14th, I believe, on my Twitter. That tweet is still up. I gave it to the low, and it was based on a harmonic. So that was really nice. But you would basically want to hang on to this box. Okay, so this is going to be very similar to the box I gave on December 4th, this doom chart. We gave this box here, and we basically said it has to hang on to this region. This is where it's got to consolidate, and the resolution of this is going to tell us a lot about the price action, whether we go back up to 56 to 57,000, or we fall down to some of these other targets that we'd had in place. So it was really nice to have both plans. And then once we got our first target, you got your rejection, you're looking at a very similar area on the chart now, where you are finding yourself being rejected by this range. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So if you were to just look at the price action from June, you're running into your old range right here. Okay, so that's all you've done is you back tested your support range from where you basically set in your low last summer. Why is it so important that we look at this? Well, again, this was a target given on December 27th, and then again on January 9th, we ran through it as we had two plans coming into the year. And this whole box down here was actually one of our targets. We had two boxes for the doomsday chart, and it was underneath July in POC right here. And so if we look at this now in terms of overall structure, this was our timeline for the dump. And this was our first target, which was met here by the POC that was left untapped. It's an inefficiency in price. And you also had a bunch of Fibonacci convergence, and it's just your range low. It's a very obvious area to target, and it offers up the least amount of risk if you're a trader. So this is where you want to be at, looking for longs. Your target, though, becomes a very obvious one when you come back up to here. This box is derived from things that are fairly important. So you've probably seen this chart before. This is one we were working off of because it was very relevant. This is just a time distribution for time and price if you were to continue to range. The one level that had to be regained was 47,707. That is going to be your highest volume point of control for all of this price action. Also, it was something that we were able to pick up on in the second half of 2021 before the year even ended, knowing that going into early 2022, if reversal even off of our first box that we had, and this one right here, that we would be targeting 47,707 as we would be looking for confirmation of a range re-entry on a macro level. This is the most likely target. So statistically speaking, this was the area. And then, just from an overall volume perspective and even just an average perspective of price, the average of price for this entire range is 47,700. So you want to be above the average. So it's a mean reversion play. That's a term that's getting thrown around a lot these days, but that's all this was. And so once you got up here, you had to be looking at this as an area of take profit. You did also have something, we called this out in February. We had a nice Gartley, really nice timing on it. There were other guys saying we were going to get it on like March 11th or 12th. I went in their lives and just told March 28th, and that was the day. The video is still public, so people can find that on my TikTok if they want to. But everything is just based on time and price. So we get that move down. How do we come to these targets here? How do we come to the timeline? Now that we've got this being invalidated, we know that things are bearish. We've found acceptance back into an old range. As soon as you lost 30, I wouldn't say price was doomed necessarily, but I would say that it was pretty likely it was heading down. You can see that your overall point of control for the entire year right here. So getting back above this level would actually be, I wouldn't say it'd be overly bullish like we're going to all-time highs, but it would be pretty surprising if price rallied this high and got above it, to be very frank with you. We don't have anything in the chart just yet showing us that that's a possibility. So I would err on the side of, more downside is more likely than not over time, especially when you get a rejection cleanly off of the bottom of your range here. So where is price most likely to go? Well, if you lose 29,800 here, again, you can see what happens if you lose 2,800. You start making stabs down to 28,726.50. If we lose that level, one would expect to potentially retest this wick, which, it's in the cards. If you take a look at the overall targets of this, this is where the fun begins. So this is actually something that when I joined CVO, I don't think they'd ever really done much harmonics really, but I like to dabble with these in volume quite a bit, and then I throw on time because it's just fun. So
Just fun.
actually, you should be working off of up. Okay, so you're looking at distribution in this distribution of accumulation. So you've got this going on. You've got clear selling at the highs. As soon as 62K is gone, you're back in the range. There's no need for all-time highs at that point. I'll run a time distribution pattern. Okay, so you would basically just be looking from X to D here, looking to see what kind of distribution I get, and we're looking for the one-to-one. But along the way, you're going to get a lot of pivot points in time because price generally operates very symmetrically. Math is very much coded into trading. Whether you believe it's because of the bots or you believe it's because of a higher power, just understand that it is there. You know, it doesn't matter. You just need to understand that this is how you utilize it. Is it giving you a crystal ball? Absolutely not. All it's doing is giving you a timeline to maybe operate within when there's going to be a pivot in the market, which this is the exact high here off of that Gartley, which was very nice. And now you're looking for the one-to-one, which it did front run our low here by about a day. But then you proceeded to get a 30% bounce off this level. You can throw a pitchfork on here just to get the trend. And most people don't realize that pitchforks are designed for both time and price as well. They're not just designed to be a channel, but they are designed them correctly to incorporate a little bit of time. And so as we're using time and our tool, you can see that you're targeting your EQ right here. And you've come down at the one-to-one in both time and price here. And then you say, well, is that enough to really take a trade? It seems like guessing. Well, that's, again, we can go and we can look a little further and start utilizing other tools that we have. So I track ranges. I've been tracking Bitcoin ranges since I've been trading, which is, you know, for me, not having a job since 2019 doing this is, I've lived on this chart pretty much night and day for the last 3-4 years of my life. So I track everything. And that's really the key to trading. You don't have to track everything and be this meticulous, but I mean, it's nice to have an obsession. So this was an old range that we had left here. One that I'd been watching even since last summer. And if we go in and we take a look, we left an NPOC down 26,865, and then our range in around 25,100. So this realistically was the area that we were looking for a reaction. If you get into EXO charts, which I'll have to get that up, this is a new computer. I actually don't have it downloaded on here, but you can see that, see the trend changing. Whereas before you were only seeing sellers in control, you're using the order flow then to use it in the area that matters the most, which is here. You say, okay, well, this is my target. And if this is my target, it's a high time frame target based both on Fibonacci, volume, other factors at play, looking for signs of strength, massive amounts of buying, imbalances coming in. We're talking 500% buying imbalances, not like 300%, which is a normal number that we would track. You could see immediately strength coming into the market, pushing this higher, letting you know to get in the move as early as 26K. That would have been your sign to mark it into the position. And then you just need to have a plan on where you're going to take profit. So again, this is going to come down to having the data in front of you and the wherewithal to have a plan in case you actually have to act on this. Because the problem with this is a lot of people will take this long and they have no idea where they're going to take profit at. Some will just guess. They'll just say, well, I'm going to take profit at 30K. But you've left $2,000 on here, and the average trader will fall. They won't realize that all you're doing is going up and backtesting a range here. So for Bitcoin, I do think it's fairly range bound right now. But the FOMC, or is it CPI tomorrow? Yeah, it's CPI tomorrow. That is a fib time coming on the 10th. We also have a couple more between the 24th and 26th of June. And then we have our macro one on July 14th is a big day for me. But all it was a back test of an old range, and you really need to find your way back in there. That's why 32.9K is going to be so important going forward. It takes out the current local high unless you really clear at 32.9K, which is, again, going yourself looking at the point of control from June of 2021 here, right? So you can see that how they line up so nice. That's this. All this was a back test of the old range. Now it finds acceptance. What happens when you find acceptance? Well, you're going to rotate that range pretty heavily, especially something like top of it, because this is just above support. This isn't actually any form of real accumulation. This is, this is fairly bearish in nature. Now, just because it looks that way doesn't mean it has to play out that way. That's why you trade. That's why you have to be able to make a decision in the moment. If you can't do that, I would just say don't trade. You're probably going to get wrecked. But getting back above this level, getting back above this old range that's holding you down, that's where you're going to want to be at. And if you do that, I mean, you stand the chance to put in a decent rally. I would say, $38,000, $39,000 on the, maybe as high as 40K with or something, but realistically, even that is just a lower high. It's really nothing. It's not anything that's too glorious, I guess. If you're smart and you're underwater, it's a great place to maybe look hedging against that position by either looking for an opportunity for a short if you can spot one. If it doesn't present itself, then you just continue to hold. But yeah, that's really all I've got for the local price action. Your most important levels are going to be 29,800 and 28,726 going forward, and then 32.9K.
So for the rest of the year, for the foreseeable future, you're just waiting for these Fibonacci times to occur, and depending how they move, how the Bitcoin price moves at that Fibonacci timestamp will determine whether we're going to be going up or going down.
It sort of, yeah. So they're just pivots in markets. I try not to do anything where they're like they're crystal balling, because I think a lot of people get caught up on that, and they want it to be like this really cool thing where it's like, I know exactly what's going to happen. And that's just not the case. That's not realistic. That's not how real trading is actually done. Anyone that says things like that is, I wouldn't say they're LARPing, but they're really looking for more clout than they're going to be able to long term. For me, like, this is a really good example of it. A lot of them line up with Fed meetings, which I find hilarious because I've been posting these for years. But you had a really good one on this Doom chart, and I'll show you. We were looking for reversals, if you recall, as we were coming down. We said between January 26th and February 8th, we were looking to put in at least a local bottom, and I think the bottom came in on the 24th, so it did front run me. But on the 26th, which was coming in here, and it's not on this one, it's actually a different pull, but we'll get rid of this for just a second. On the 26th, we had a Fibonacci time. This was actually a Fed meeting, and this thing shot up, swung, failed the highs, and just massive move down. Now, ultimately, it did move up, but it did bring some volatility. And as we were hitting the time pivot into resistance, which at the time was $39,000, if you recall, we were just looking at that range. I'll pull it back up just so that everybody's on the same page here. So as we're pulling it back up and we're looking at this range high right here, this is the day. You can see that we tapped the range high. With that, somebody saying that it was the reason it was coming down is because people were taking profits. You could clearly go into the order flow and see massive sells coming in, because in this particular meeting, this is when everyone said, well, if we don't get bearish news, it's bullish. And we didn't get bearish news, but we didn't get bullish. And so everyone started longing into resistance, and having the pivot there, the time pivot, and just seeing what was going on in the order flow. It was like, this made a really great short, and it came all the way back down to a local range value area low, if I recall, like on a weekly schedule. And I think there was a horizontal level there. I'm not going to pull up the weekly range because that's going to take too much time, but it just made for a really good trade. And in terms of trading, that's how you would want to utilize these, is just understanding that. Like, I have them pegged out for a cycle. When I pitched this idea that we was doomsday box back in January, there were two ideas: that we continue change and this continues higher, like a lengthened cycle, or we go straight to the devil's house. And that's what we've done. We've come down to the devil's house, so to speak, and this is where we've ended up, which is underneath these lows. Could you make a bullish case out of this? I mean, sure, you could make a bullish or bearish case anytime that you look at a chart, and you probably should. But in reality, unless this little box here.
So quick question. You said that we're at the devil's house. Is there any way that we're going to go into the devil's basement and go lower?
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely, yeah.
Or are we already at the ground level here?
We're at the door. If you want to see the devil's basement, it's actually still on my TikTok from last year.
Magic.
So
real quick.
Again, go ahead.
Can you hit your setting real quick and see if you can switch? I think because we came onto his channel, our settings might not have been saved, but you're cutting out a little bit. So you can hit the 1080. I think you should be able to. But yeah,
so you hit the 1080.
Yeah, we're at the devil's lettuce.
Does that work better?
Oh yeah, now you're crisp. It was just cutting off here and there. It wasn't all time.
Yeah, Limitless says 22K is the bottom potential, and so this does actually kind of tie in a little bit there. So this is something that is on my TikTok still. It's still there for you guys if you want it. This is going to be a macro, and I believe I was tinkering a little bit here. Oh, where is that? Are we on the right one? Are we on Bitstamp? Nope, that's Bybit. When you go to Bitstamp here.
The devil's house.
Well, this would be something that when you look at it, got to be looked at in log scale, which kind of makes it a little bit, to me, almost skeptical for that reason, because harmonics are generally done in linear, but there's really nothing on them in log. But this was something I was looking for. So this would be what's called a deep crab. You see these in the stock market quite a bit, actually. So this is just an over expansion. So you're looking for a deep retrace, at least 786 to the B leg here. And then you want to see anywhere from a 618 to an 886 for C. And then you want to see a massive move, like a very quick, fast move up. You want to see it occur between the 1618 and the 2.24 for D. And you want to have that confluence for a 1618 expansion here as well. So you have some Fibonacci convergence is what it's called. And then from there, you can mark out the target. Ironically, when I posted in June of last year, because I had to here originally, which this is still valid to here, I just saw that this was the completion target. This would have been your take profit 1. Take profit 2 comes in where the gentleman in the comments was talking about. Your next target is going to be the 382, and it's also going to be back testing the top of the structure. And I think CVO had a chart that he had sent me, if he wants to pull it up at some point, where we had done something very similar. I think it was maybe the Dow Jones or the NASDAQ. I can't remember which one it was. But very similar, very exact same pattern, actually. And you backtest X. All it is a range retest at that point. Now, if you lose this level, you've got a very, I say buy it all here, but you've got a pretty good likelihood of heading down to, some of those targets people were talking about, like.
Is that the basement? Is that the basement
This
that we're
would be
talking
the
about down
basement,
there?
right? This would be the basement right here. This would be pretty nasty. But I always tell people, you can put targets on your chart. That doesn't mean anything. What matters is price. So it doesn't care about you. People, they don't move price. That's just not, that's a myth. People that move are institutions. They trade thousands and thousands. In some cases, there's billions of dollars in volume a day. So if one guy is buying all that Bitcoin, it really doesn't matter long term, because there are bigger players at play overall when you consider the market as a whole. I don't look at that and say that it can't go below a certain price, because anything can happen. So can it go much lower? Absolutely. Is this support for now? Yes. Trade it for what it is. Trade the range for what it is. And if it starts breaking down, you can't be afraid to switch gears and start looking for lower. That's just the whole thing. That's the nature of trading, is being able to do that. So we're more of a trading channel and more of a trading Discord, obviously. So it's one of those things for us. This is comfortable, but for some people it's not. They don't, or they only want to be told when to buy and sell, which is another thing that just over time, everyone's wrong. No one's 100% accurate. That's just not a thing. So if they don't have any risk management or any actual trading experience or, training, they'll eventually just get wrecked. They'll just become another statistic in the market. So let me see if there's any questions, because I tend to just kind of ramble and it just keeps going.
No, yeah. So the question, it's not a real question, but from the understanding that I've gotten of how you guys are trading, you guys are just taking it, kind of like day by day, week by week. There's no, a lot of other traders like to put like a foreseeable future target.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, hey, we're going to hit this crazy price point. Just hold on.
Yeah, that's fortune telling is what I call it, because everyone ends up wrong. Everybody says it. Well, everybody ends up wrong, so it doesn't matter, right? So that's why I said we had two plans coming in. We have the doom chart where maybe we just continue ranging on this timeline that we've been on. We just know that our overall target was going to be right around 47.7, and we can evaluate from there and see what happens. And then we know if we at the time it was 44,800. If we lose 44,800, we know that we're going to see at least 41,750. And if that level is lost, then we're probably going to challenge the 37K lows. And if those are lost, we are looking back down to 32.9 and below. One thing that I kept noting over and over again in January when we made that low is I kept saying statistically this is a weak low. So using order flow and stuff that we use in the group, we actually have a way to quantify if a low is going to hold or not. That's statistically quantifiable. And that low was over 80% likely to be taken eventually. So we knew that if the right recipe did actually present itself over time, we knew we were going to take that low and go lower, and we have the targets there. And so that's when these high time frame plans that you're talking about can become actionable. Otherwise, you're just kind of like crossing your fingers and hoping that you get to collect your clout on TikTok or YouTube or whatever whatever your platform is. And that's just, again, that's not how trading works. It's not about being right or wrong, man. It's about making money at the end of the day. So
yeah, 100%. So from what I'm getting from you is a little bit more bearish kind of territory. We're kind of like going to be going sideways and possibly lower. Not a lot of upside potential.
Yeah, I think
foreseen right now.
I think well, when even the upside potential. I mean, it's a really nice trade. It's a really nice move, but we're going to need to see more than what we have if this is going to be a low. Because you got to think how lows are really put in. You know, they take time. We need to see some kind of accumulation or some from sellers to show that the low is actually in. You know, that was your big thing at 29.8K, if you recall, right here. So this is the confirmation low. So I'll go ahead and hide this one because we don't need it. But this was your confirmation low, meaning that there is now a sign of weakness from bears or sellers. Okay, so failed to capitalize on pushing below the range, because technically right here you are below the range, right? So you're outside of where you've been trading at within one standard deviation this entire time. So the opportunity now is for bears to push the ball lower. They've even back tested it here. And if you go down to like the time frame, you can see an ascending triangle here. We could go in and find all convergences. There was a nice harmonic that completed here. There was just a lot to say that if we regained $32,000, basically, this was going to rip all the way to at least 38. I think my first target was 42.6 and then 49. 5 after that for 58,000 because left over from quarter two. That made the ultimate target, and that actually wasn't the top. I did not call the top. Someone made that claim. I think it was World War Bitcoin, but I think he just said it and didn't realize that. No, I didn't call the top. I took profits here. There's a video of me saying that I took profits up here. So I didn't even catch the last $10,000 of this move. And I was okay with it. I said, you know, if we hold 62K, I'll gladly enter the trade. But at the moment we lose 62K, things are 62K here. And as soon as we got back below it, it was pretty much just doomsday after that, all the way back down. You could easily mark this out on a high time frame without any other tools. You guys could. People don't understand. You can go to a chart without any other tools, and you can actually get all the levels you need, really. It's just not as easy and not quite as much confirmation. But what you were looking for was this quarter three right here. I think I actually have it in a folder before I start marking this chart up and forgetting to delete things. I believe it was the quarter three high right here. And you can go back to the daily now, and you can see that this is where you were heading. As soon as you lost 62K, you're going to 52,949. You got your bounce. Once this is lost, you found your way back into that quarterly candle, so to speak. And now you know that you have an entirely different range to work within. And that's how I pulled those data points right here to tell you that 45.9 to 47.6K were going to be the most likely area to settle up on, and that this was the resistance to get back above. And then you just have a nice range right here, point blank. So we're at a very similar crossroads where we have a range that's holding us down, much like we did here. And we know where our support lies. You know, our support is kind of thin, to be honest with you. So if it did go lower than that, I wouldn't be surprised. It's within the trend. The macroeconomics aren't good. Normally I don't look at that stuff, but it's something to note. If we got a rally though, we know the rally's likely going. We know how to get on the right side of it, what we're looking for. You know, trading real time with actual order flow is a huge advantage, because even if we're wrong in what we think, it doesn't matter. We can go into the order flow and see the strength of the move actually occurring real time and going, man, I should be long. Like, this is a great long. I can see the open interest. I can see the net longs, net shorts, the delta. You can gauge the strength of the move immediately. And from there, you can take your market entry. You can determine exactly where the move would be invalidated by who would be underwater, like what traders would be losing money. And from there, you can run it. You know, you can find your targets and go. So a little different, not as many people doing that, but very, very powerful tool once people have it. So, you know, that's, I don't know. I guess we do take it day by day a little bit, you know.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, I love the analysis. Before you jumped on, CVO and I were talking before we started. CVO seems a little bit more bullish, man. So I see the dynamic here going on between the two partners, between the bull and the bear. So
I mean, that like
we never got anything. We never argue. Because here's the thing: even if I say, you know, hey, I'd favor a stab at the lows of the range again, you know, doesn't matter, man. We'll trade whichever way it goes. I can tell people I don't mind being wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. You know what? There is something wrong with losing money though. So compartmentalize those two things. Who cares if you're wrong if you're making money? You know, like that fixes a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure.
Fixes a lot of things. Fixes almost everything.
That is the win.
So CVO, you want to show your perspective on why you're a little bit more bullish?
To me in a private chat.
Yeah, I have it right
go
here.
over
It's
it, man.
it's
Knock
just,
it
and,
out.
just to set up on the preface here, right? This is just an idea. So once again, we the big thing about the harmonics, right, is that we try not to once again go on the idea that this is guaranteed to happen, right? This is just literally when you're looking at something like a falling wedge or any of these patterns that sometimes fail, like that's pretty much what we're looking at with the harmonics as well, right? Just granted they tend to play out a little bit more though, but so yeah, the comparison that I was making here, because when Magic first showed me that deep crab, I was like, man, that just like when, going back to anybody that's like still kind of buried in the 4-year cycle idea or anything like that, look at that last 2018, 2019 stretch. It's so different. And then what did it have? And it just, that the creation of that, this pattern here, right? So I'll pull it up. And the 2017 high, right? You got your capitulation event that everybody's thinking we're in the middle of right now, whatever it could be, I guess. You got your run up, you run back down on the Rona dump, right? And then perfect pattern, evolves from there. You got your swing up here, taking out basically the previous high. And then this idea here is just that, right? So I got the overall range pulled up here for basically the year. We dropped it down, right? So we got, I got the quarterly NPOC that we're looking at, kind of like a worst case scenario, not the worst, but the target that we were looking at that he was bringing. I don't even know if he actually covered that one on Magic or not, but that and the untapped yearly pivot is around there, which actually coincides with this X level right here, which is that target. But to see something like this is what I was going over with you, the idea of this, Miguel, earlier, right? I was like, Magic kind of coined this term too, but like that, the perfect crime idea would be, right? Like everybody's expecting right now to just kind of go straight down. And while that could happen, right, maybe we get a little bit of relief to 33 or 30, these small ups. And that's the benefit of just kind of taking it day by day in a sense. But what if we actually rotate this range once again, right? We actually take it up, start running it, you run it to the high here. And I'm going to show you an example of why I am thinking of this anyways. And then once again, just to reiterate, just a straight up idea, a literal opinion, could mean nothing, but picture we run it back to 50K, 48K in that region, right? Everybody at that point is going to be looking at this as that extended flat, right? Which is Elliott wave, with coming out of that would be the idea that we would shoot right out of that and continue on to 200K or whatever everybody's looking at that point. And then what if we ended up just coming back and then actually coming back, meeting target, bouncing up, just similar to what we did here. We came down, we tagged the golden pocket. This was a very quick move. If you didn't catch that $25,000 right there in that short period of time, this was, Magic and I were watching this live. It was like 1 a.m. for me. So it was midnight for him and whatever time everywhere else. Right. So this was middle of the night, basically. And if you didn't catch it right then and there, you haven't gotten another stab at it yet. So just an idea there. Right. And then we'd range around. The reason I bring this up, though, is because just kind of putting out an example of this is looking back in 2002, the NASDAQ, not the index, the actual NASDAQ itself, somewhere in here, basically printed the same exact pattern, right? So this took a long time to, the timing is way different. This is like 2002, this is 2000, this is 40. Yeah, I guess that's not too far apart because and Bitcoin, we were looking at the high back in 2017. You got our next high in 2021, so on and so forth. But aside from the remainder of that, look at the similarity, I guess, in a sense. So what did we do here, right? You created that pattern, took the highs, ran it down, golden pocket. At that point, right, you're looking at I got the golden pocket up there at the top, but realistically, it just essentially ran through the range once again. So it came back up, hit the range high, and then from there, finally dropped it down to that X target, right? Wicked down just a little bit below, and then basically bounced and never came back down to it. So that was the idea that we were kind of just dancing around earlier, because if that was to go down with Bitcoin and we actually ran it through, we came back up to like 40 something thousand, 50,000, then dropped it to 19. Everybody would be waiting for that 10K or the 3K, whatever the fact may be, and get a range like this, and then after that, you kind of know what happens at that point, right? So just an idea, but it was very similar. Very interesting to see how so far it's panned out really, really similar in that regard there.
So about timeframes, right? Talking about timeframes, what kind of timeframes are you guys looking for? No specific date or anything for either the big move up or the big move down, like a pivotal time where is there going to be a massive shift? Are we going to go to the devil's basement at that point, or we're going to go back into the heavens stairway?
I've got a couple days marked out on my chart. July 14th is the macro golden ratio for this cycle. So I run distribution on them with fib time. And this one in particular was actually really well. I caught the 3K low. I caught the 42% pump when China unbanned Bitcoin the first time. And then most people don't realize that when you break the 0.5 or the 50% on the steady closure is generally when you get your break high. And time that 382. The 414 was exactly January 8th high when we pulled back 36% and started this range in 2021. And then we're coming into the 618 on July 14th. So I am expecting a pivot. So I'm curious to see what that's going to bring, to be honest with you. But if we extend it out and you look for the next big one, there's one in November, but I'm really looking all the way out to February of 23. If we're looking for like a low and out of a low.
Are you sharing your chart, Magic, or no?
No, I don't have it up. I'm not even looking at it. I'm just sharing the dates off the top of my head. I've looked at them enough. I know exactly. I know what days I'm looking for. Yeah, I know exactly what days I'm looking for and what I'm wanting. But July 14th is a big one. There's some like smaller fib time dates coming up just for the month of June. We like to have them just to trade off of because there's going to be volatility. It's just like a little extra confluence that, hey, if we're hitting support on this, then we're going to be support. If we're hitting resistance, looking for shorts, that type of. But that's June 10th, which is tomorrow, and then the 24th through 26th. I'm giving like a little bit of a window there. That's June 24th to 26th is kind of an important little window for Bitcoin. So after that 14th is like the only date I'm really, really cruising for, just because I am very curious to see what that's going to bring.
So you brought something up earlier about actually looking at macroeconomics, something that I think CVO sometimes just focuses on the charts and says, hey, none of that matters, right? The news doesn't matter kind of stuff. So what's making you focus a little bit more on the macroeconomics of what's happening?
When you're asking if we have a reversal coming on, I'm not focusing on it. I don't even pay attention to it, but I mean, I do, but it's one of those things where when you're looking long term, you have to look at that and think, okay, well, the direction's still down. I have no evidence of a trend reversal on any kind of price action. We've got bearish macroeconomics. It looks like oil is going to continue to rise and go up. I would anticipate there's going to be some grain issues coming out of Russia because I think they're having they're talking about oil sanctions, and if that happens, they'll go to grain, which then you have that problem. And so it doesn't really fix anything. Nothing gets better. Let's put it that way. So there's no reason to be over bullish, I guess, until something presents itself to give you that bias or to give you that narrative, everything else, if we're taking longs, they're just day trades. I'm not, the last swing long was the 47K for me. And if we start regaining some ground though, and putting in some work, and I'm like, all right, we got a really nice move up here, I'm not afraid to take the long. It's just one of those things where, things can get oversold and bounce, but that's all they generally are, just bounces. Like I know that popular is the melt up theory, and I think that he does a lot of homework on that. He knows a lot more about macroeconomics than me, so I never like talk any smack. But when I see it, I'm like, dude, if you go over 47K, like for me, that's a really big level to get back. Don't really see that happening based on and if we do, I think you're just going to run $1,000.
Well, yeah, I mean, that whole melt up theory, I'm not gonna drop names, but if you know who you know, at some point he's gonna be right? It's been so long now that it's like, well, if it happens 6 months from now, I told you guys, it was gonna be melting up.
Yeah.
At some point,
that's why I say people who make those, even no matter how smart you are, even if you're him, even that he's probably smarter than me when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Especially with like stock market and stuff. Like he knows way more about that. I'm just a guy that's a chartist. Like I trade. That's all I care about. I don't care if price is trading at 29,000 or 47,000. I'm just looking to make money. He's going to know more about that than me. But the problem is if you make predictions like that, again, that's why I say you have to have a plan and you got to take it level to That's the way to really, because I do that. To me, if I something like that and I fall in love with it, there's someone out there who's gonna be like, magic's never wrong. And they're going to buy because of that. And that's why I always tell them, like, dude, you guys got to be able to make these decisions yourself, because the market can pivot whenever it wants. It doesn't care what I say. It doesn't care what it says. You know, that's not work. The only person they care about what says, probably, you know, political leaders and the Fed. Maybe the market cares there, but, you know, none of us have that clout, you know, is what it is.
Yeah, so. Yeah. So talk about taking it level by level. CVO
magic for president, man.
We're doing.
Do you concur with Dr. Magic Internet Money that there will be no high levels until 2023?
What?
No
What's
new
that?
high levels. The time frame was February 2023 for, you know, the pivot points of like coming up to the higher time frames, the higher price points. You concur with that? Do you think there's any way we're going to see some people? Because there's people already calling for 2024. Hey, nothing's going to happen until the next Bitcoin halving happens, which will be in 2024. Until then, we're in bear market territory, and there's not a lot of hopes for higher price points. Do you guys think that's going to happen before 2024?
I think you can get rallies in between. You have to.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think all-time high. Yeah, I think we're a ways away from that. But, you know, running them, you know, washing through the areas we've already been, you know, 50, 60K, 57K, you know, things of that nature. Those are definitely on the table. And then you all know that, I mean, you know, with a run, if we get a run like that, even just to where I was dressing up the idea of just running it up to like 50, look at what happened to the market when Bitcoin ran it to 48.
Yeah.
Just in March. I mean, everything, you know, exponential, it has fallen 90% since then, you know, so it's like there's so much upside just on, and if we run it to 50K or 40K, whatever that means, I mean, that's a 40, 30, 40, 50% move, or almost 100, I'm sorry, for Bitcoin from the low. So you have to imagine everything in the market's going to be 2-3x from where, you know, it bottomed out, if that was the, you know, local bottom for now. And then, yeah, that's the thing. If you're thinking back to bear market times, like back in 2018-19, you know, XRP for me was one of those ones, right, where I eventually got out in a decent area. But like, you know, you hold those things through the 2-3x's up, and then it's right back down, and then it's 2-3x's up 6 months later, and then it's right back down, and then it's, you know, so that's what, you know, that's what I think is the most important thing at this point too, to like realize is that, you know,
that was my first
looking back
buy.
at this market, we had a 6 month up run, and that's about it. So
what were you saying? Magic Internet Money?
I was saying my first buy was XRP. That's what I think. It got so many people into the market. That's when people, I know that everybody talks about it being like a little cult, but like one thing that you can say about XRP is that back in 2017, 18, and 19, man, they brought in a lot of people to the market.
it was the Shiba.
That was
the Doge.
yeah, they were.
Yep.
I wouldn't say they were the Shiba. They're an actual company. They got an actual product. But you know, they brought in. I mean, there were people drinking that Kool-Aid for years, and that's a huge range on that thing.
God, yes.
You know?
Dude, you should show your XRP chart real quick. His XRP is.
Yeah, it's a really simple chart.
Straight to zero.
I did a
straight
TikTok on it.
nosedive.
There's. Nah,
It's going to the devil's basement. That's for sure.
The devil's basement on XRP is pretty well defined. I think it's Bitstamp. Yeah, Bitstamp's got the best data.
The average price I bought in at 5 years ago.
We're going back.
Yeah.
We're still early, guys. We're still early.
Guess I'll just add more.
In terms of XRP, this is a really, you know, you could knock it up to a range like so, and it would be about perfect. And this is actually, it looks a lot like Bitcoin's chart actually, when Bitcoin was accumulating between 20K and 3K. So a lot of people that dog on it, you know, they do kind of have to watch what they say a little bit. But I talked about this in July of 2021. There's a part series where I told you would get 100 from this region because we've seen it before, and that the key was really going to be getting back above about $1.35 to $1.39. I think it went to 141. And if that doesn't happen, there's a chance you could go all the way back down to 19 cents, and this is where you want to be buy. And man, the comments I got on that video, people were telling me I should just quit because I was a hack and this and that. And here we are. So it hasn't quite hit there yet. But if you're looking at this in terms of quarters, this little trick we've done in the group, I think Rivalry suggested it, just broke up the chart into sections. 75%, 50%, 25%, basically. So you've come down to the 25%, you've come down to the area where, well, you'd want to be accumulating region. This is the best place historically to accumulate the asset. So if this is an overall range, which it very well could
you're not sharing your chart if you're going over the specifics of the
they're
chart.
like,
I thought you were just going off top of your head again.
I was thinking the same thing.
This is the RP. This is the range, right? Massive range. If we go to the Bitcoin chart, it will look very, very similar actually on the BLX. And when you go back in time to this, like right here specifically, we'll get rid of this because we just don't need it. Maybe we will. There we go. You can see very similar. You make your lows back to back test the highs here, and you make your lows again at the range low. These are very similar charts. This is a very obvious target actually. So when that happened, you got a very obvious accumulation and inverse head and shoulders. I'm not a pattern trader, but this one's blatant. You get the move up. This move down, ironically, wasn't expecting it to come all the way back down to the range low. But again, this comes down to trading that as soon as you lost about 30 cents, you had to know you were back to these lows, and there were some in here that got backfilled, just some inefficiencies. And once that happened, you came back up. We knew that if we broke out of 60 cents, we were probably going to head to $1.99. And then from there, it's just trading this giant range. And this was a big descending triangle. I mean, it was clear as day what was going on here. You got lower highs, very flat bottom of support. One can kind of put two and two together. I saw a few people, I'm not naming any names, they were calling it triple bottoms. And I was like, no, that's not what's happening here, especially when the overall market's down and you're looking at Bitcoin taking a dump. It makes no sense for XRP to go up while Bitcoin is dumping. Most of the altcoins the same, so you had to be looking for the lows of the range again. And historically, again, this is the best place to be accumulating the asset. Now, the moment you start losing these lows, specifically if it ever, this is like, you want to talk about the basement. This is like, I don't see it happening, but if I was holding XRP, and a lot of them say they'll hold it forever. And one thing that these ranges do, most people don't realize is, they're called terminal shakeouts. Okay, so that's all this was. Everybody was convinced Bitcoin was going to all-time highs right here, and then it dumped down to 3K, right? And this is what's referred to as a terminal shakeout in Wyckoff terms. This will exit a market, right? Everyone will get liquidated. The whole market's going to reset. Why this level? There's really, there's a few people selling. In reality, it's just more position building, and you can actually see that on the chart. It's represented in the volume profile, and that's what you want to see out of XRP. You want to see it come down here, wipe out some of these guys that are never going to sell it. And I hate to say how a market maker builds positions. They have to force people out of them to get where they're going. So same thing can be said locally on Bitcoin charts, but you can do everything on the high time frames well. So that's what you're looking at. If this came all the way back down here, do I think that would be a terminal shakeout? Everyone says they're never selling this. But if Bitcoin continues lower, we will find out if they will. And if you lose this area of the chart, specifically 14.567 cents, you really don't have any support until you're in the sub 5 cent region for this asset. So you really do not want to lose this range. Like if this ended up being like a giant double top, you can expect to see these guys coming back down and back testing this old range. And at that point, you have to wonder what I always say don't look at the news, but I will say that legislation is not news. That is policy. You'd have to look and see what's going on with the SEC and actually going on with, real current events that are going to affect assets. And that's so far away. Again,
I'm excited, bro. I hope it comes true. I hope we do see that double top and straight to zero, baby.
I don't wish that because I know how many people are holding it. I know it would hurt a lot of people if that happened.
It's the Trojan horse of crypto, man.
What'd you say?
It's the Trojan horse of crypto, man. That thing needs to die.
Oh yeah. With the banking thing, yeah. I don't hold any. I will say that I'm not a holder of it. But it was the first one that got me into crypto. I bought it 3 cents, and I held all the way through the $3 high like a fool. I ended up selling it like $1.25 on the way down. So I didn't do bad at turn. I sold my Bitcoin and doubled up all my Bitcoin earnings. I got rid of all my Bitcoin and rode the bear market down, and then bought again. I didn't buy until like $5,000 though after the low was made. But I held XRP for so long. I look back on that and I'm like, God, that was completely what I should have done. You should hold Bitcoin and not altcoins. But you know, back then I was really drinking the Kool-Aid when I was getting into this this space. You know, it was a very exciting time. So, but is what it is.
So with big,
cents,
go ahead, CVO.
I would say so. 5 cents is on the radar, and that's where Magic bought in. So just realize he's the market maker, and it's going to go back to his initial fill, so you can get the rest.
That'd be awful.
Keep an eye out. If y'all see me doing ASMR, you know why.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be.
So I had a question for CVO before we start the show. Right, we talked about Bitcoin's basement level and, you know, higher levels. We've talked about XRP, unfortunately, but you know what about Ethereum? Where would Ethereum go if Bitcoin does go to these basement low levels below 19,000? What are we seeing for Ethereum? Because we're pretty close to the, like CVO was saying, right? Me and CVO were talking. We're pretty close to the all-time high previously for Ethereum already. We're like 1,700. Previous all-time high was like 1,400. Could we see a sub like 1,000?
If we see like 19K Bitcoin type of deal like down the road?
Yeah, 19K or lower, right? Even if we go lower than that.
I mean, at that point, I mean, everything is just like at risk. But I did, you know, just Ethereum and Bitcoin, at least to me, I mean, we could pull up like, you know, historic ranges and, you know, look for some other levels. I'm sure Magic has a couple, but just on a general basis, if Bitcoin goes to 19K, for example, right, I would imagine that Ethereum, so that's now punching through the previous all-time high, and that's about 35% drop from where we are right now. That would put Ethereum around like $1,200. So it's still like not under 1,000 where everybody be looking. It's right below, you know, the previous all-time high, which would probably trigger everybody to freak out.
Yeah, for sure.
And at the same token, like, you know, you'd probably be in that realm. But, you know, that's once again, personally, I mean, yeah, I know that everything's still pretty bearish in the sense, and obviously we'll, you know, kind of adapt as we go. But I just, it'd be interesting to just see the market just still continually just drop straight down. And it's, I don't know, at least in my opinion, it's hard to judge the sentiment where like the most people are, because I feel like everybody, that's what I see everywhere, is that everybody's looking for 20K. Everybody's looking for 19K. Yes. And or whatever, not 19, but they're looking for 20 or 10 or whatever the case is. There's some people still like really pushing for like a 36. I don't think any, you know, there's the few outliers that are still like 100K is imminent, you know, the really big accounts that just put up only bullish anything. But I don't know, you know, you'll see how it goes. But, you know, I think that I favor, in the sense, right, if you're going to put it in that way, I think that we'll not, you know, not like today, tomorrow. Actually, maybe tomorrow. Maybe we get some CPI numbers tomorrow that come out, and everybody's, you know, worried about that. Maybe we get a push into and over the weekend and whatever. And I still think we'd probably go a little higher before. And one of those reasons is at least the altcoins for the short term. And one of those reasons is the Bitcoin dominance, which I can take a look at that here in a second. But dominance is putting a lot of bearish divergence, coming into some pretty big resistances. And as dominance for Bitcoin comes down, we tend to see the altcoins have a really nice run to the upside. So on top of that, it's the end of the quarter, which generally, not that that's a rule by any means, but at the end of the quarter, we see usually some decent moves at the altcoins. An example of that is last, you know, March, end of March, we basically had those last 2 or 3 weeks where everything kind of, you know, had at least a 20 to 50% rally before everything just melted down. So that's what I'd be looking for, but we'll judge it as it comes.
Dude, that's awesome. Dude. I love the TA. I love the style. Your guys' style of TA is very different from any other type of TA. Very in depth. Very, I feel like it's a very what's a good word for, kind of like a very solid type of TA that has a lot of things that show historical and show like fundamental levels of why things are happening, compared to a lot of other TAs that I've seen that are very kind of just, you know, a little bit of fugazi here and there, kind of just like I say so and just trust me because I say so, because I've been right in the past before, and all my videos are just pointing at the past, all the times I've been right, never at the times that they've been wrong. So I love your guys' TA. I love that both of you guys were able to come on today. So final words for both of you guys, you know, shameless plug, say what you got to say before we close it out.
Trade the range. That's it, man. Like, that's all it is. Money, learn to trade the range. I support resistance, money both ways. just don't fall in love with anything. I love Bitcoin. I'm obviously a Bitcoin maximalist. My holdings are Bitcoin, Ethereum, some Chainlink, Polkadot. You know, I own like a little bit of other coins, but you'll hear me call everything a shit coin. There's 19,000 of them, so why not? But you know, I think long term it's got a future. You know, it's one of those things where I only want more of it, and if trading's going to allow me to do that, and it allows me to like I get to sit around and come on shows like this, like why not? Why wouldn't you want to learn how to do that? So, you know, invest in yourselves, guys. There's tools out there. There's people out there that can help you.
Exactly. And you're looking at two of them right here. So if anybody wants to join our Discord trading group, we have a link in the bio or in the description here on YouTube and any of our socials. You can find it there as well. We do have a free portion and then we have a member.
Somebody said all the dog coins are going to be.
I don't know, man. Doge's been there, man. Doge has held through for so long. And oddly enough, like I had $200 in Doge in 2017, and that move alone, if I would have held on to that, I would have had to never make another move in life, even now. Yeah, live and learn, I guess, on that one.
So yeah, guys, everybody, make sure you go follow these two guys on their socials. The links are down below. Join their Discord if you're looking to learn about more trading information and education. That's what it's all about. Always learning. They're the guys to be following. They're the guys to be investing in yourself to learn from. So make sure you follow them, guys. If you want to join the Danger Close Alpha, if you don't know what Danger Close Alpha is, make sure you join the Discord. Get involved, join the movement. We're having a Twitter space now at 9 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to get more details about Danger Close Alpha NFT project, make sure you join the Discord and you get the link to the Twitter space tonight. And, you know, until next time, guys, like always, question everything, trust nothing. And until next time, HODL like it's hot.
Bye, guys.